So I'm filming this for the second time because I just realized that at some point, because the sun is directly in my eyes, I can't really see the screen, and that it stopped filming because the card was full. So I'm having a great day. Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. My name's Natalia and I do a lot of like university and like lifestyle content, and I thought today would be a good idea to kind of give tips for international students coming into the UK, or specifically coming to Loughborough, just because I was an international student and I definitely would have benefited from these tips. So I'm just gonna get right into it. So the first tip I have for you guys is to bring a parent if you can, because that helps you on several levels. The first one is physically, like they're there in person to actually, you know, help you move stuff. You're not all alone in the process, and most people from the UK have one parent or both their parents helping them out, so it definitely is a plus. Now I understand not everybody can have that, you know, or have that luxury, I guess, but I had my mom there and it was a huge help, both on like her presence just being there and, you know, her helping me organize stuff, because you're probably going to be super stressed out and scared because you're like, shit, I don't know anybody and stuff like that. And at least I have my mom tied behind if there's a problem. I get you. I was the same. Also on a financial level, just because if you're coming from an international, like, literally shut up. If you're coming from, you know, anywhere international, you're probably not going to be bringing all the stuff you're going to end up using in university. You're probably going to buy quite a lot of stuff once you get there, and there's also freshers on top of that, which can be pretty costly. So I would say having a parent at least there for all the stuff in terms of like buying literally anything, that's super useful. In terms of freshers, yeah, I don't know. Definitely have cash, because I don't think you'll probably not be having a bank account yet. You'll probably not have your card yet, and you won't be able to use it unless you already have one. But I mean, if you're coming in from the international, you're probably not going to have a bank account or a card available. You're probably going to get it once you get there. So yeah, just have cash available for freshers as well. That's like, I guess, a separate tip. But if you don't have a parent, this kind of is linked. Have money on you, have a lot of money on you. I don't know how much, it really depends on how much stuff you have to get and how much stuff you didn't get, but definitely have enough money on you so that you're not too scared, whether that's your mom sending you, or I don't know, any parent sending you money through a different bank account, like an international bank account, which, just be aware, every single time you pay for something, there's probably going to be some sort of deduction because of like the currency change. But all that to say, have enough money so that you're not in a situation where you can't pay for anything. So just have that and take that into account. Next thing is to open a UK bank account the second you arrive in your university. In Loughborough, it's actually pretty convenient because there are quite a few banks, I would say, in town, but I went with HSBC just because I knew HSBC before, because I lived in Hong Kong and I had an account with them already. I just knew the bank, so I trusted them, and that's why I went with HSBC. But there are other banks like Santander and others that I can't really think of at the top of my head, but definitely check out which bank you want to open an account with before you even go to Loughborough or your university, so that way you don't waste any time to go straight to that bank. Just also check which banks are available there, because it's better to get one that's available in your town, city, depending on where you are, rather than one that's just in London, because then that's really inconvenient if there's any problem. I know you can solve a lot of problems online now, but just like having someone there in case there's like a huge problem and you don't know what to do is so convenient as well. So just check that, and that way when you arrive, the second you arrive, go straight there, make an appointment online if you need to, because it's going to be full practically. There's literally going to be a lot of international students coming in trying to open a bank account, and probably students that are from the UK as well that were kind of late in opening their bank account and probably just doing it the second they arrive as well. So get an appointment, get that done, so that as soon as you can, you have a card available so you can buy stuff and you're not stressed out by money. Yeah, because also when you do open your bank account, you need to go to like the university, I want to say financial department, but I don't even know if that's what it is, just to get some sort of confirmation that you go to the university, like a proof of you going to the university. You literally just ask and they provide it to you. It's like a piece of paper. You also need a form of ID, and I'm pretty sure that's it. And so you just go there with all that and you give that to the guy, and then he can open your bank account, and your card only comes in a short while later. I would say a few days to a week later, so keep that in mind, that it won't be there straight away. Next advice is to not bring too much stuff, because it's literally useless for you to bring too much stuff. Like, you don't need 1,000 things, and if you're going to be using a suitcase, you probably have like a limit on how many suitcases you bring. I guess if you have a parent, you'll automatically have, I guess, 2 suitcases. They're obviously going to need stuff as well, but at least you can fill some of your stuff in their suitcase. So I would say in terms of essentials, you definitely need like clothes, any sort of personal items you would need, sportswear. I guess if you're doing a specific sport, university is pretty sporty, so I would definitely bring sportswear. If you really need to, you know, just bring stuff that are close to you. So I would say literally anything that you would need that you can't buy when you're at the university, put it in your suitcase. I specifically had like a pillow that I had to sleep with in order to be comfortable. It's just like a round pillow that I just cuddle up with in bed, so I brought that. It took space, sure, but I needed it, so I took it. And I also took 2 personal pillows just because, one, it reminded me of home and I really like how it felt. I knew the university ones would be really bad, and I really didn't want to buy a new one that could potentially be bad as well, so I just brought my own. And I think I had 1 blankie that I could like cuddle up in when it gets cold and stuff like that, so I just brought that as well. And apart from that, I only had clothes. And don't bring too many shoes either, because that's kind of useless. I literally had 1 pair of heels, my boots, and my trainers. I literally think that's everything I got, because I didn't really need anything else. And if you do want to get other shoes, there are like shops, there's like Topshop and stuff like that, and there's also like Depop in case you want to get other stuff. So just keep that in mind as well. There's also don't buy your like winter coats and stuff like that before going. Get that once you arrive there. I bought all my winter coats in London, so that was like a lot less space that, you know, I could have brought over internationally. The only like hassle was to bring them over to Loughborough from London, but even then, like in Loughborough itself as well, you can get a few coats, I would say, in like Primark or in Topshop, obviously depending on what quality you're going for. Otherwise there's Nottingham and Leicester 10 minutes away, so you could probably get that a month in as well, because it doesn't get too cold in the beginning. So definitely keep that in mind, because you don't need to, like, coats take up a lot of space. You don't need that in your suitcase straight away. So just that. One of my useless purchases that I brought over from Hong Kong was this drying rack, and it was useful during the university year without a doubt, but did I need to bring it in my suitcase? Probably not. Stuff like that, you learn from them and you move on. Next thing is to get into your university's Facebook freshers group, because that usually just goes by university name, freshers 2020/2021, and you'll immediately find it. And that's how I actually got to meet quite a lot of people. So especially during the virus at the minute, there's going to be a lot of restrictions, so you're probably not going to be meeting as many people as if this were like a normal year. So get into the group, introduce yourself, say your name, your subject, and then which hall you got in, and usually someone goes into your comments and sends you a link to get into a specific messenger group about either your hall or your course. If you don't, just check through the messages and check when they say, oh, for, you know, this hall, just click on this group, or for this subject, click on this link, and then immediately will link you and you can get into somewhere. So that's pretty convenient, and that way you get to have like a foundation of who's going to be in your flat potentially. I got my information like super late, but at least you get to know a little bit like who's going to be in your flat and stuff like that, so that's pretty cool. Also, we had someone ask us to link our Instagrams. If nobody has done that, maybe try doing it yourself. Ask people like, hey guys, link your Instagrams below, so that we can get to know each other a bit more. And then just as many people as come up, you know, just like click on whoever you feel would be someone who'd be your friend, and like either message them directly on Facebook, I hate kids, or message them on Instagram. And that's what I did, and I messaged quite a few people. I texted a lot of people. A lot of them didn't reply, but that was fine, because the people who did reply ended up being friends with, and one of the people that replied I'm going to be living with next year, so that's pretty cool. So all that to say is, like, don't give up any chances you can of meeting new people, because your chances are going to be limited once you're at the university itself. So keep that in mind, and, you know, I would say interact with as many people as possible, because, you know, it's useful. Next piece of advice would be to look through the societies page, just because I know you won't be able to like sign up or buy a like place in that society until university starts, but at least you have an idea of like what your interests could be, 1, and 2, whether there's like your nationality or ethnic minority available on there. A lot of people have asked me about that actually, and Loughborough, I would say, is not the most diverse university, I can put it like that, but there are quite a few opportunities for you to meet international people, so that's convenient. And I was in the French Society, as I said in like a few videos back, and there's also like there's literally so many societies, so definitely go check them out. At least you have an idea of what's available, and that way you'll feel a lot less isolated, I would say. It's just a great way to make friends that think the same way and are interested in the same things as you, or at least grew up in the same place, I would say, or have the same nationality. So I don't know, it's useful. Next thing would be to, you know, look as well into the sports and societies, and just if you, like, as soon as university starts, like, get into them. Sports specifically, just because it's a sporty university, one, and two, you're probably going to meet a lot of people that have the same interests as you if you're joining a sport that they also enjoy, and that way you can make a lot of friends, especially like if you're in team sports. There's immediately you're going to make a super great connection, especially a lot of them have, I can't find the word right now, but basically where they have like nights out all together as a sports team, stuff like that. So that means you can have a lot more chances to meet people, so that again is a great way to meet more people, I would say. Then I would say is to get an icebreaker. So this one is specifically for your flatmates, and this is kind of like information that's useful for anybody going into university. Definitely have a doorstop. So just put a doorstop in your door while you're packing or depacking your stuff. When people pass by, they'll immediately be like, oh, who's this person? And like maybe say, hey, my name's this. And if they don't, then how about you pass through their door or just in front and be like, hey, my name's this. And that way you can meet a lot of your flatmates, and it's just slightly less awkward. And yeah, I would just say like it's just a nice way to get to know them. Other stuff could also include like having cards on you, because that way, that's a super good way to get to know people, is by playing a game. So definitely do something like that. Or I brought shot glasses, which I didn't end up using until like maybe 3 months after university started, but it would have been useful if people wanted to be like party people. And I don't think my flatmates definitely didn't turn out to be party people until much later. Like I only found out later, but at that time it wasn't useful. But definitely it could be very useful, especially since you can't be going out as much. Having that like party aspect within your flat at least is a lot less, like a lot more safe, than, you know, doing it with 100 people. You're just gonna be 5. Great way of getting to know them as well. Oh, another thing I missed was to get a phone number / phone plan as soon as you get there as well, because that's really useful in terms of communicating. My phone plan with Voxy, which is like a branch of Vodafone, and that was pretty useful because it was super cheap. All social media pretty much was free, so immediately that's a lot out of your plan that's like free immediately. And then I only had like to pay £10 a month, and I never actually used up my plan, just because also when you're on campus there's Wi-Fi everywhere, but in case the Wi-Fi is really bad, at least you have like a phone plan on the side to use 3G and stuff like that. So I don't know, I found it really useful. I know that there are other plans like 3. I don't know how much it costs. I know that it works internationally for at least the very big major cities, I would say, so at least it could be useful for when you go back home and you still like don't need to change an SD card or stuff like that. So definitely keep that in mind as well. Last thing now would be to have pictures or anything that's personal to you to make your room as homey as possible, because you're going to be staying in that room probably a lot of the time, especially during COVID. But even if it wasn't COVID, like me, I was literally in my room all the time. I was slightly depressed for like the first 3 months or so. And okay, I'm just gonna wrap up real quick because my camera died and I had to charge it for like 5 minutes. So all I was gonna say is that have as many personal items as you can to make your place feel homey. If that's an instrument, that's great. I wish I brought my keyboard. I didn't. I'm bringing it next year, hopefully. Keep that in mind. Bring all the stuff that's useful. I had Polaroids that I took of all my best friends and stuff like that, so I put that up on my wall. I had fairy lights as well. That was super useful and making my place feel homey. If you want to go for a specific color scheme, do that. If you want to have plant babies everywhere, do that. Just make it as homey as possible so that when you get there, if you're by yourself, at least you don't feel uncomfortable in the place that you're going to be calling home for like the year. So that's my last piece of advice. But yeah, if you guys need any more questions or anything like that, definitely have that in the comments below, or I guess you could message me on Instagram, but I feel like it's a lot more helpful if you put it in the comments so that other people can see the response as well and stuff like that. I had one person ask me about scholarships, and I'm not too sure about that because I didn't get any, but if you need to look at a scholarship, definitely check that sooner rather than later, because I know a lot of them have deadlines that are probably over by now, but just if you really need to get that checked out, do that as soon as possible. Other than that, thank you for watching my video, and come back, I would say this Sunday, possibly on Monday, depending on whether the Wi-Fi likes me or not. But yeah, I'll see you guys end of this week or next week. Bye! Hope this was useful.